Ladies and gentlemen, may I, honorable members, take this opportunity to make a short announcement to say there is a problem with regard to the configuration of the interpretation gadget in this room. So the IT is still busy with it. They'll get it right as soon as possible. There seems to be no ndebele or something. Something's just not right, but they'll get it right very soon. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 10, Public Service and Administration Appropriation Bill.
Also note that in front of you, time does not show, but there will be an indication. Where is the list? I don't have a list. Can I invite the Honorable, the Minister of Public Service and Administration to the podium, please?
Thank you very much, Slalo, of this session. I want to greet the Honorable Deputy Minister of DPSA, Ms. Chikunga, the Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee of DPSA, members of Parliament who might be here, entities within the department, GEMS, PSC, Housing Scheme, and senior officials in the Department of Public Service and Administration. It is indeed an honor to be in this house to present a budget for DPSA. And I want to start by just spelling out the mandates. We derive our mandate from Chapter 10, Section 195 and 197 of the Constitution of the Republic. But in addition to that, just to remind you, the two acts of Parliament, the Public Service Act of 1994, there's also the Public Administration Management Act 11 of 2014, which is PAMA. They set both of these all of this, especially the acts, they outline norms and standards, and they also outline values and principles respectively that govern our work in public service. Public Service Act, for instance, lists a number of tasks, establishing norms and standards, dealing with organizational structures, setting up conditions of service, and all the like. We don't, time is not on our side, but we have provided you with what this act does and how it guides us. PAMA, on the other hand, provides the Minister of Public Service and Administration with the authority to establish a uniform system of public administration across the spheres, all three spheres of government. And I think at this point in time, for the purposes of the sixth administration, it is very important to emphasize this point going forward. Having said this, I want to proceed to say the department has 4 components that are key. There are others, but I'm just counting those that we see as key. DPSA, Public Service Commission, School of Governance, the Center, and the Center for Public Service Innovation. They might have held it wrongly there. It's public service innovation. It's the center. House Chairperson, the President of the Republic, when he delivered SONA, he identified 7 priorities. And we want to report to the House that we are committed in doing our work flowing from those 7 priorities. They're all written there. Just to mention this first one, which is very important. It's economic transformation and job creation. I want to agree with the President fully that this is a priority for all of us in the country, facing us in all corners of the Republic. And without it, we can't move forward, both as departments, but also as a country. And that is very important that we be informed of this as we go on with our work. The rest are there, the other 6. But out of these 7 principles, priorities that the President counted, those that are relevant to us are the following. Most relevant. I'm not saying there's anyone that is not relevant. I'm saying most relevant and peculiar to our department is the consolidation of the social wage through reliable and quality basic services. That one talks to us directly as public service. And it's important to mention that. The second one is a capable and ethical developmental state. Talks to us. We have to craft the implementation thereof and make sure we make progress in this regard. The third one is a better Africa via APRM. Of course, skills and health of public servants is very important. So these are the very key ones and very direct in terms of our interests and our mandates. Then over and above what the President outlined in terms of priorities, there is the NDP, very instructive. We can say this or that on the NDP, but it remains very relevant and very instructive in terms of what we need to do in the 6th administration. For instance, it clearly states that our country needs to follow a model of a developmental state. However, the NDP also recognizes that not all capable states are developmental, and so emphasizes the importance of building a capable state in terms of skills and capacity of your public servants and going forward. The President had this to say when he was delivering his SONA. This is the start, I quote, "This is the start of a wider process of arresting the decline in state capacity and restructuring our model of service delivery so it best serves our services, our citizens. We will build on the work we've already begun to address the problem of poor governance, inefficiency, and financial instability. We are committed to building an ethical state in which there is no place for corruption, there is no place for patronage, there is no place where there is rent-seeking and plundering of public money. We want a corps of skilled and professional public servants of the highest moral standards and dedicated to the public good." This is our mission, both as a department, as government in the 6th administration. And we're inviting all of you, members of Parliament and the public, to join us along this direction so that our country forges forward and succeeds. We want to recognize work that has been done in the last 25 years, and we give an outline of those key achievements that we regard as important. The first one is the integration of former so-called self-governing states and Bantustans into a united public service. That is work that has been accomplished in the last 25 years. Very important. Second task that has been achieved is a framework governing public service in the Republic of South Africa, which was not there before 1994. And the third achievement is the 1997 White Paper on Transforming Public Service Delivery, commonly known as Batupile White Paper, which focused on making sure that at the heart of service delivery, public service should put people first. People first. And we need to move along those lines. A number of regulations accompanying these have also been developed over time. And to date, you know when you are doing a wrong thing, you know when you are doing a right thing within the public service. It's a result of regulations that have been developed, adopted, and have been implemented over time. In 2005, for instance, government registered the Government Employees Medical Scheme, which is GEMS, which caters for quite a substantial number of people. Actually, it's the biggest, it's one of the biggest schemes, but particularly in the public service. Very important. 700,000 principal members. That's quite large, catering for public servants. It means that they are deriving a service from this, otherwise they wouldn't have been members if it was a bad scheme. And we applaud it and we will work on it and improve it going forward. That is work that has been done in the past, but also there is a lot of work that has been done in addressing home ownership across the country for public servants, and that is important. But there's also a peer review mechanism in Africa that is making sure that all of us in the continent work together following a particular system, particular systems, values, and principles. This is just a short summary of work that has been done in the last 25 years, which we feel we need to recognize. But then we have our own priorities as we stand here, which I now want to outline. The first one, we have identified 5 public service and administration's own priorities, but which we are sure will cater for all the things that I've said above. The first one is dealing with resistant fault lines. When we talk about fault lines, we're referring in particular those things that we decided long ago at various platforms that we would do, but we find that implementation hasn't gone up to the level that we would have, or that is ideal. But nevertheless, progress has been made, and we call them, they are resisting, but we still have to move on them. These in particular refer to Batupile principles. There are 8 of them, as you would recall. Consultation, service standards, access, courtesy, information, openness, transparency, redress, and value for money. These principles are still relevant, and we still need to do lots and lots of work to make sure that we are at the desired level in terms of implementing them. But secondly, as part of resistant fault lines, is the perception that is held by the public that public service in the country still harbors elements of laziness on our side as in the public service, both elected and unelected. That is appointed public service, laziness. Secondly, people still hold a perception that we're arrogant in the public service. Both in offices, both those who are employed and those who are elected. Go to them, they will tell. They've been telling us all that during election. Arrogance. Something we can just get rid of easily. And by the way, all of us, not just these and not those, all of us. Secondly, they say we lack innovation. Things that we could do easily today, we still find it difficult to do because of lack of innovation. And that we're non-responsive. There's a phrase that is operational. seeking to characterize public service, being sent to pillar to post. People like saying this, hey, I went to Home Affairs, I went to school, I went to that office, I was sent from pillar to post. Now, we're in the public service, we're in charge, we're going to be looking for this pillar and that post together with the public and remove it altogether from public service.
Excuse me, Minister. Excuse
Now,
me,
that
Minister.
is the first priority that we have set ourselves for the next 5 years, and we're inviting you to work with us on this.
Excuse me, Minister.
Remove the pillar to post.
I'm sorry.
Secondly,
Minister, excuse me. You left with 7 minutes. Just wanting to make you aware.
the second one is PAMA. It's our intention to ensure that we implement PAMA in full. And the third one is achieving high levels of stability. And we count here what is called COLA, which we have already done. That is ensuring that SMS members are paid in accordance with CPI, which has not been coming forth. But we've signed that, and I'm sure public servants, SMS members are very happy with our achievement, very responsive and making sure that people find public service attractive. But we want to move on quickly and say we want to assure unions that we intend consolidating relations and working together with them. They are our partners, they are not our opponents. And we'll make sure we work with them. Whether it is difficult or easy, we must just work with a smile and move on, even when we oppose one another somewhere and somehow. We then want to move on to applaud, for instance, the longish cycle of negotiated settlements. Like the next cycle is only coming in 2021. That shows that if we work together with unions, we can achieve and make sure that there's stability within public service. I'm not going to talk about everything, except to say that we want to achieve more, not just the cycles, because there are some things that show us that there are unintended consequences. The next one, we want to show in that diagram there what's happening. We believe that public service is not necessarily apparently bloated, but we agree that the wage bill is overall rather high, not just the wage bill, but the cost to run public administration in the country is a little bit high. And I want us to look at that and approach this going forward. We show in that diagram what's happening in other parts of the world. That, for instance, that in Ethiopia, public service is 8%. In other words, for the people who are serving, the population, the whole society there, or all the people there is 8%, and it's 1:25. And you compare it with the rest of the countries and ourselves. So people shouldn't necessarily make an assumption that we have a bloated public service and out of line with the rest of the world. It's not the case. But we agree we have to manage the costs. Fighting corruption, a great revolutionary from Argentina in the name of Ernesto Che Guevara once said, I want to quote, "If you tremble with indignation at every injustice, then you are a comrade of mine," close quotes. Now, to borrow from him, I believe that if you tremble at every act of corruption, dishonesty, and lies, then you are a public servant, and then you are a comrade of mine in the public service. There are quite a number of things that have been achieved in terms of the hotline, the anti-corruption line, disclosure frameworks, and all of those. Some of the things that we see at Zondo Commission are very undesirable. All of us believe that. And the whole of South Africa is waiting for the outcome finally, so that relevant actions get taken, and we're looking forward to that, all of us. We then give you some figures in terms of what's happening in the space of discipline, of cases, disciplinary cases. But then the last one in these 5 priorities is implementation of policy. There, we are emphasizing that we are going to focus on this matter with jealousy, making sure that we make sure that we implement whatever we want to implement. Then we move on. DM will deal with issues of GEMS and the housing scheme. But just to say, we are phasing out bonuses. We're near one of phasing out bonuses. And we will. Number 2, so if people ask us, what are we doing? What are we going to do? These are all the things that we're going to do. It's not just focusing on the wage bill, but quite a range of issues to contain costs for public administration. The next thing is the Ministerial Handbook. The President has released the handbook. But however, there is agreement in the executive that there are certain areas of concern. And to this effect, the President has appointed the Minister of Finance, Minister of Public Service, and the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure to work on three areas to deal with this and report back to Cabinet in 2 months. In particular is the upper limit of vehicle purchases, the tariffs of those who will be using their cars, and upgrades and security in residential areas. We're going to be working on this. And I want to say the current Ministerial Handbook is an old, new book. I'll explain that to the what we mean. But let me go on to say, as I conclude, in our department, we are working very hard on our macro structure. Tomorrow in Pretoria, we'll be dealing with this, making progress on this matter so that we become a model and ensure that we lead by example in terms of reconfiguration of the state and adapt it to the prescripts of the new administration, the 6th administration. Youth, yes, we are going on and forging ahead with opportunities for young people, ensuring that the entry levels for young people when they enter public service is made easier than it was happening in the past. ICT, we are in the era of 4R, the Industrial Revolution, and we are working with all relevant partners in making sure that we move ahead on this sphere. Good relations we have set with Public Service Commission. These are our friends. They are independent, but we are friends. We are neighbors financially, so that they do their work and we do our work. And we are promising an undertaking that will work very well. We are quite impressed with their work in terms of making sure that we comply and where there have been deviations, they emphasize and they call people to order. We'll be working with them to ensure that they are stronger and they have teeth where they need to have teeth. And then we give you statistics there on some issues on the hotline.
Minister.
But then we want to conclude
Honorable
overall
Minister.
by saying that
Thank you very much.
thank you very much to you, Chair, and the members of the committee.
Honorable Minister, I would like to apologize again for all the inconvenience. The IT people are looking at it. Honorable members, we'll break for a few seconds just to allow them to get this thing in order. It's very inconvenient for members. While the IT people are busy, I want to take this opportunity to welcome our visitors, our guests, but kindly request them to be aware that because they're in the house, they are only allowed to smile only, or to chuckle a little, but do not participate by clapping hands. But you are most welcome to be with us. Thank you very much. Other honorable members. We are calling the second speaker. Sesiyaqala Mhlonishwa. Honorable James.
Honorable House Chair, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, honorable Commissioner, and all the guests gathered here this afternoon, we greet you all. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go to what I have prepared so that I don't run the risk of being told that the time is out. But I want to zoom directly to what the committee that I'm chairing has recommended, because it is wrong in some of us to think that when I stand here as the chair of the Portfolio Committee, I will stand here and advance my own ideas that has not been canvassed with the committee. One thing that the committee has recommended to the minister is this issue that he has raised of the ministerial handbook. The committee said, before everything else is done in terms of implementing it, it must serve before the committee so that the committee must be able to see and engage with that ministerial handbook. Now, if you say I'm wrong to say that, then I don't know what I stand for as the chairperson. Then, the other thing that the Portfolio Committee addressed was that there are a long list of disciplinary cases that are dragging on for too long. The Portfolio Committee said the department must try and address that. No cases must drag on for a long time without being attended to. One thing, other thing that the Portfolio Committee has observed is that the department has no plan, for instance, to attract young young people and reskill them. The committee is urging the department to look at that issue. Attracting young people, particularly the female folk, reskill them and place them in your department. The other thing that the committee observed is that when you put managers in positions, you don't appoint them. You leave them on acting capacity for too long. And that leads to confusion of roles. Because if you are acting, you don't have all capacity and powers because you are on an acting capacity. The committee said that should be addressed by the committee. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Mr. Honorable Schreiber will be making... This is a maiden speech, honorable members.
Honorable Chair, it is indeed true that South Africa is in desperate need of a new vision. We need a vision for a future where all South Africans can achieve prosperity. What our country does not need, however, is the ideologically infused hallucination that we got from the ANC during the State of the Nation address and debate. No, what we need is a practical vision grounded in the year 2019 rather than in the year 1919. The DA is the only party that offers such a modernizing vision, including when it comes to drastically reforming the public service. We are the party for prosperity.
Honorable members.
And to create shared prosperity, our vision is to build a 21st century opportunity state that serves, empowers, and creates the freedom for citizens to reach for the stars. The opportunity state is one that judges every decision on the basis of whether it expands possibilities for citizens to prosper. It is where bureaucrats become public servants, where a dedicated core of professionals shun corruption in all its forms, where Home Affairs is never offline, and where all teachers are well-trained and dedicated. Unfortunately, with the exception of DA-led municipalities and the Western Cape, South Africa is a depressingly long way away from achieving this vision. Today, more citizens are trapped in poverty than ever in the history of our country. As always, the ANC's response to this, as we've heard here today, is to double down on more of the same. The budget before us today makes it clear that the government has no serious plan to fundamentally reform the public service. Fellow South Africans, our government is trapped in denial. Instead of weaning themselves off of their outdated ideological drug, the ANC is upping the dose and hoping to escape into a comforting hallucination populated by bullet trains and imaginary cities. Undeterred by engineering the collapse of the public health sector, they now want to nationalize private care. After plunging the country into recession, they now want to tell you where to invest your pension. Following the destruction of Eskom, they now want to sink another 230 billion rand of your money down to that bottomless pit. Despite the minister's earlier words, the ANC has in fact created a patronage state that does not empower citizens, but controls and steals from them. So, how do we get from our current patronage state to the DA's opportunity state? The first step, which can be taken immediately, is to dramatically cut frivolous expenditure on maintaining the luxury lifestyles of cabinet members. Now, I was introduced to a new concept today of an old new ministerial handbook, but I'd like to suggest that instead of coming up with new concepts, we cut that thing to the bone. In the midst of an economic crisis that saw the economy decline by 3.2% in the last quarter, the so-called old new ministerial handbook continues to spend millions of rands on luxuries. Dear taxpayer, did you know that under the old new handbook, You will be paying for the likes of former ministers like Des van Rooyen to fly business class around the country for the rest of their lives. Nearly 150,000 people lost their jobs as a consequence of Van Rooyen's 4 days as finance minister. While he is rewarded and jets around the country on taxpayer money, the thousands of families who had their lives ruined are struggling to put food on the table. This madness must come to an end now. The Western Cape, which introduced its own streamlined, not old new, but streamlined handbook in 2011, has consistently been rated as the best run government in South Africa. The Western Cape proves that none of these luxuries are required for ministers to do their jobs. This is why I have already called for the Department of Public Service and Administration, and as we heard here today, they will appear before the Parliamentary Committee to accept recommendations on how to dramatically cut the Ministerial Handbook. Public
Honourable
money
members, do
is
not
meant
drown
to
the
create
speaker.
prosperity for the people, not to buy Porsches for politicians. Secondly, we must wipe cadre deployment from the face of the earth. It not only breeds mediocrity, but it also lies at the root of corruption. I'm glad that the Honourable Minister mentioned the Zondo Commission, because because cadre deployment is the original state capture. And therefore, I will be writing to the Zondo Commission, requesting them to launch a dedicated investigation into the ANC's cadre deployment committee. To eradicate the practice once and for all, the DA will also be proposing a private members' bill to amend the Public Service Commission Act. A key reason why we still have teachers who are not in class and police officers who do not protect is because the leaders of these institutions are appointed not on the basis of competence, but on the basis of being loyal ANC cadres. Our private members' bill will take the power of appointments over directors general and all other senior government positions away from politicians and give it to the Public Service Commission. The bill will also take direct aim at corruption, which fuels the wheels of the ANC's patronage state. Over the years, the Public Service Commission has recommended countless recommendations which were roundly ignored because they don't have the power to enforce them. The amendment bill will consequently enhance the Public Service Commission to punish offenders by making it a criminal act to defy its recommendations. Parliament recently enacted similar powers for the Auditor General, and it's high time that the Public Service Commission got its own set of sharp teeth. Now, rather than catching the next bullet train to the Honourable President's cloud choo-choo land, the third step we need to take is to tackle the public sector debt crisis head-on by restructuring and privatizing where required. It's time to be honest about this. The job of a leader is not to cower in fear of public sentiment. Sometimes the job is to tell hard truths. This is one of those times. The hard truth is that South Africa's public sector, as it currently exists, is not sustainable. Currently, R5.83 out of every 10 rand that's paid in taxes goes to servicing public debt and paying wages for public servants. Last year, the government granted 30 billion rand more in wage increases than what had been budgeted. This means that only R4.17 out of every 10 rand that we take in taxes is actually available to spend on the people. Despite all of this, during the debate on the State of the Nation, and as we heard here from the Minister today, the Honourable Pravin Gordhan and the Minister tried to pretend that South Africa is not in some kind of crisis. The Honourable Pravin Gordhan desperately tried to convince us that our public sector was not bloated and inefficient. And this on the very same day that Denel, Prasa, and a lot of municipalities had to beg lenders for money just to pay salaries. Restructuring must happen, and it must happen in a responsible manner. We must aid workers with severance packages, jobs, placement, and reskilling. But while the Honourable Gordhan and his colleagues do not shy away from using the lives of thousands of workers as a political football, the question he failed to ask is, what about the impact on millions of citizens if we fail to restructure and privatize? What about the millions of South Africans who are already forced to pay exorbitant taxes and have less money left to build wealth and prosperity? Without fundamental reform, public servants will be jobless, the state will be bankrupt, and taxpayers will be left destitute. This is a hard truth, but the sooner we face it, the better. Honourable Chair, unlike the ANC, the DA is not escaping to the fantasy land of Ramakandla. We are not afraid to look citizens in the eye and acknowledge the socio-economic catastrophe in this country, and that we cannot keep on doing the same things that got us into the mess in the first place. Real leaders don't escape into dreams. Real leaders face up to reality. We need to implement the plan I outlined here today to curtail expenses on luxuries like the Ministerial Handbook, build a professional public service through ending cater deployment and giving the Public Service Commission real power, and undertaking fundamental structural reform. This is the only way to ensure that patronage for some is replaced by prosperity for all. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable members, we make honorable members aware of those members that are making their maiden speeches so that they are not disturbed on their first speeches. Order, order. However, we also need to advise that members who are making maiden speeches should not go on an offensive first, because they open themselves up for attack as well. So it's just a simple advice. Thank you very much. Honorable members, order. The next speaker is Honorable Motsepe. You're welcome.
Chairperson, the economic freedom fighters reject the budget. Vote for Department of Public Service and Administration. If this country is going to build an effective and efficient public service which will drive economic development and provide quality public service, two things must happen. Firstly, the responsibilities and capacity of the state must be increased. And secondly, the employees of the state must be fairly compensated, skilled, and inspired. That is why in this new parliament, the EFF will be reintroducing a private member bill which will compel all spheres of government, including state-owned entities, to enforce all workers. We are introducing this bill, the insourcing bill, because new liberal economics adopted
members.
and implemented by the ANC and the DA have seen the collapse of our public service and its ability to deliver service. Every sphere of the state, from national government and municipalities to state-owned entities, outsource basic government functions and services worth billions of rand every year. But these billions of rand do not go into the hands of the exploited workers. They only see a small fractions. The money goes to the labor brokers, middlemen, and companies subcontracting these workers to government. This is exploitative, fuels corruption through the tendering process, and only services the interest of a small elites. Once our insourcing bill is passed, government will have no choice but to directly employ all those currently outsourced across all spheres of government. Finally, putting an end to these exploitative and wasteful practices. The city of Joburg, under direction of the EFF in council, has already begun the process of insourcing workers, and more will follow.
Order, honorable members.
This is how saving the city more money than they were
Honorable
outsourcing.
members,
And the
order.
workers are now getting paid for more than double what they were earning when they were subcontracted. This has changed the lives of thousands of families, lifting them from a poverty wage to a wage that has allowed them to live in dignity. This is an example. Government as a whole will soon follow. Insourcing will also help bring an end to the corruption we have seen engulf the tendering system, where we see government officials giving their friends and comrades contract to provide workers for gardening, cleaning, security, maintenance services. This is how companies like Bidvest made billions
Order, honorable members.
of government contractors which directly and indirectly benefited members of this cabinet and who have served on the board of Bidvest. But when we talk about insourcing and increasing government capacity, we are not only talking about cleaning, security, maintenance services that the state requires. We are also talking about the services the state delivers. We are talking about plumbers, builders, electricians, engineers, mechanics, software designers, and all other workers currently outsourced by the government to provide services the state is meant to deliver. If government does not have to pay companies inflated fees for these services and instead paid them directly, the state could build its own roads and hospitals, develop its own softwares, repair its assets, and still pay decent salaries, medical aid, and all other benefits given to state employees. This will lead to an improvement if government services deliver as workers will be energized, motivated to provide quality services. Minister, if your government wants to realize an effective public service in an economy that is growing and able to meet the needs of its citizens, you will support our insourcing bill and begin to increase state capacity. But this, most likely, you will not do. Instead, you are doing the exact opposite, and you are threatening to cut the size of the public service, which will negatively affect service delivery. But we want to warn you that government must cut the size of the public service and must not think about freezing salaries. This is the exact opposite of what needs to happen. Instead, the salaries of the teachers, the nurses, and the police officers must be increased as a matter of priority. Minister, before I close, there is one other issue I would like to raise with you. And this is the failure of number of government departments and entities, including the Department of Labor and SASSA, to comply with the 2012 ruling of the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council that all assistant director in the public service must have their salary level upgraded from level 9 to 10. And all deputy director must have their salary level upgraded from level 11 to 12. It is now 7 years later, and there are still government to whom this ruling applied who have not seen their salaries upgraded. We have written letters to your predecessor and the department that are not complying, and we have received little, no response. We hope that while you are in office, you will commit yourself to deal with these issues once and for all, and that all government employees who are owed salary upgraded, they must receive them now. So the EFF reject this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I will now call Honorable Kebekul.
House Chair, Honourable Minister, Honourable Deputy, Honourable Members. The role of this department is to oversee the performance of government departments and public entities. By doing so, it should promote the level of socio-economic development we require in order to achieve the aims and objectives of set out by National Development Plan 2030. Ukuba sikubona lokhu kwenzeka mhlonishwa ingxenye yakho odabeni lwabasebenzi, siyadinga ukuba abasebenzi bengabasebenzi abaqondayo umsebenzi wabo abaqeqeshekileyo nabanenkathalo yokusebenzela isizwe. Singaboni njengoba nje sibone kulezi insuku ezedlule omunye womame ebelethela egcekeni enganakiwe. Furthermore, currently, there is a need to develop a capacity and professional ethos in government employees from several departments. We believe that the reason people receive bad and poor services when they go to certain administration offices, such as Home Affairs, Social Development, Police, and others, it's because of poor morale and lack of love for their jobs. Part of the responsibility of this department is to establish norms and standards related to integrity, ethics, conduct, and anti-corruption. However, we are seeing more and more officials from various departments who do not exhibit the behavior as set out by this department's code of conduct. We see issues such as ill treatment of patients in public hospitals. We also see the large scale of corruption and looting by those occupying high offices in various commissions that are run by our current government. Chairperson, we hope that one day those who are involved in corruption are brought to book. We fear that there is a lack of commitment from side of the political wing to punish those who are found guilty of having committed unethical behavior, such as the case in CPS, the case in SASA too. To mention a few. Chairperson, the erosion of accountability the erosion of accountability and corruption remains a persistent cancer that will, if left unchecked, will totally consume our public service. Our legislative and regulatory framework, our democratic checks and balances, these are all in order. The problem with corruption is the people that staff our public services. The National School of Governance must encompass an ethos and anti-corruption culture amongst our public service officials. We call for the budget to be utilized in a manner that promotes training and education programs that deal with ethics and professionalism. Chairperson, umhlonishwa ukhulume ngebathophele. Ngiyafisa mhlawumbe ukuthi ekegxilwe kulena mhlonishwa. Kuyalimaza ukubona indlela abasebenzi beminyango abenza ngayo nxa ngabe kufike umphakathi uzodinga usizo. Ngenza isibonelo nje ngendawo yangakithi empangeni edolobha lethu. Uyana kwa Home Affairs. Istaff sakhona ngo3 o'clock bavala iminyango bengabasiza abantu. Ukuze beqede bangaphakathi abangaphandle mababuyele emakhaya bobuya ngakusasa bezosiza. Kuyabalimaza abantu bakithi lokho ngoba uzoqonda minister usuka nabendawo zemakhaya. Abantu basuka endaweni ezikude ngamabhasi bezodinga usizo. Kufuna bengene endlekweni nangakusasa or else ubafica belele eminyango. Mostly Home Affairs empangeni ufica belele eminyango abantu ngenxa yokudinga usizo bubukake nezinkala abayihamba umhlonishwa. Siyadinga ke mhlonishwa ukuthi sibone umnyango uwenza ngokungcono njengalokhu uthembisile ukuthi kuningi umnyango obona ukuthi kufuneka kugudluzwe ngoba nobungane uyasho ukuthi uzawuphuma eminyangweni abantu basebenzele ubuqiniso nokwethembeka esizweni. Izwe lethu libe neshwa lokuthi abasebenzi abaningi babona bengakukhathali ukusebenzela isizwe kepha basebenzela izisu zabo. Umuntu esekushilo ke konke lokhu mhlonishwa siyaxhasa isabelo mali lesi ukuba lo mnyango ukwazi ukusebenza. Kodwa okukhulu kuyabonakala khona ukuthi kukhona ukunqobelana kwezinto eminyango nahulumeni. Kuze kube neminyango mhlawumbe emibili emithathu enikeza umsebenzi owodwa. Yabona nje nalo msebenzi umnyango wakho umhlonishwa unikezweyo awuhlukene nomnyango ophethe umhlonishwa uJackson Thembu. National Planning and Evaluation ayihlukene ngempela ngoba uma ubuka bonke abasebenzi kufuna bebuke ndawonye ukuthi kuqhubekani noma ke yena ebika kumongameli. Ngiyathokoza kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Jordan.
Honourable Chair, I quote the committee report on the following. The Department of Public Service and Administration is expected to implement and coordinate interventions aimed at achieving, and listen carefully now, efficient, effective and development-orientated public service, which is an essential element of a capable and developmental state as envisioned in the National Development Plan 2030. And furthermore, the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa envisages a public service that is professional, accountable and development-orientated. However, the current state of public service and administration, Honourable Chair, is neither efficient nor effective and definitely not development-orientated. And the constitutional vision of a professional and accountable public service is merely that, a vision, nothing more. The ruling party has not only failed to give effect to the provisions of the Constitution, but also to their own National Development Plan 2030. But let me give credit where credit is due. There are many public servants who still deliver excellent work, and we would like to thank them for that. It is, however, not due to the leadership and government of the ANC, but in spite of it. Voorsitter, gister het ons gedebatteer oor die Departement van Arbeid se begroting en dit was gemeensaak dat werkloosheid in Suid-Afrika 'n reuse probleem is. Die departement se mandaat is uitgebrei om werkskepping in te sluit, maar die regering verstaan nie werkskepping deur middel van ekonomiese groei nie. Dit is makliker vir die regering om bloot meer mense in die staatsdiens aan te stel. Vir die ANC-regering is staatsdepartemente werkskepingsinisiatiewe en plekke waar hulle kaders, waarvoor daar nie plek in rade, wetgewers en die parlement is nie, kan aanstel. Daar is talle voormalige ANC-LP's wat nie na 8 Mei teruggekeer het parlement toe nie en nou vinniger as wat hulle Acacia Park kan ontruim en hoë poste in staatsdepartemente aangestel is. Therefore, I foresee great difficulty with the initiative to trim the public sector wage bill. Tans is die openbare sektor se salarisrekening 'n reuse probleem en 'n reuse las op die fiskus, met nagenoeg R8, agbare Schreiber, van elke R10 wat deur die regering bestee word, wat gaan aan openbare amptenare se salarisse.
Honourable member, may you please take your seat? What is the point of order, Honourable Kaula?
Ngibonge wemhlonishwa lapho ngaphambili. Iqalile futhi again inkathazo. Asikho isiZulu la. Alukho nje ulimi lomuntu omnyama la. Afrikaans, English. Afrikaans, English. Senze njani ke manje? Akukho ngisho ukhozi la, ngisho igagazi.
Okay,
Kwana lutho. No. Hlobo mnende lutho.
Sukuzwile Makaula
Agbare voorzitter, punt van orde. Honourable Chair, I understand that there are people in South Africa who is still in love with the colonial language. And they are very fond of English. It's a constitutional right. Can I ask you to allow the honourable member to keep on with the process decolonizing South Africa to speak our indigenous language of Afrikaans? Thank you.
Honourable member, take your seat.
Shepasini, sivume ama language foreigner. Kube yiwona lana azodlala ngadla eSouth Africa. Still ama language ethu. We are not playing.
Afrikaans is a foreign language.
Foreign language asidingi.
May you please proceed? Proceed, Honourable member.
Die staat se salarisrekening beloop 'n reusagtige R587 miljard. I quote the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, in saying, if R8 in every R10 in the public sector goes to salaries, that leaves only R2 to fix a hospital, to rebuild a school that's been burned down, to ensure public safety, and the list goes on. Suid-Afrika se staatsdiens is groot en lomp en amptenare word volgens internasionale standaarde te veel betaal. This is a result of the centralist thinking founded in the
Ngokukhulu ukuhlonipha bafethu. Yabo?
Makaula?
Yes.
Manga ngingakakhombi uphakamisa isandla
Okay,
zakhomba.
ngiyaxolisa ke, ngiyaxolisa mhlonishwa, ngicela ungikhombe.
Ngithi sibhizi ngayo baphumile bayoyilungisa ngaphandle. Thank you.
Sorry, but kusho thakame ngoba la we are working, we are coming to work here. Akwazi ukuthi ngathi siyasebenza abanye kuthiwa bame. No, sifanele sisebenze sonke kanye kanye. We are not fighting, but sifuna nathi ama language ethu ngoba mina mangikhuluma ngesiZulu bayalalela bona. Why nina nibone mthande bona beza ukuthi sithini ngabo?
Uzwakele Honorable Kaula.
Musana usidayisa nini?
Eh, Khawuthatha isihlalo sakho. We'll take 2 minutes to check what is happening. Honorable member, I didn't point you.
Oh, I thought you were addressing.
No, I don't address you. I'm addressing the House. Check your, no, you can't raise a point of order whilst I'm still addressing the point of order. Honorable member, check on, you may proceed and then check your 3 on 3. Number 3 is Zulu. Is that, you can proceed.
This is a result of the centralist thinking founded on the ANC's communist ideology and is not the solution. The solution is also not to leave essential posts vacant while paying exorbitant salaries to political appointees who are not qualified or have no experience in the relevant field. The solution does, however, lie in a smaller, more efficient state administration where officials are appointed based on merit, are held accountable and not merely appointed because they are cadres. Besparings op die salarisrekening wat deur 'n kleiner administrasie teweeggebring word, moet van die hoogste tot op die laagste vlak deurgevoer word en sleutelstaatsdienspersoneel soos verpleegsters, onderwysers en polisielede moet beskerm en bemagtig word. The power of trade unions to dictate to public service regarding salaries and benefits and forcing government to agree to unaffordable salary increases must be stopped. Budgets of departments should adequately provide for annual salary increases, and the budgeted increase should at the end of the day be the increase, regardless of what the alliance partners say. Also, Minister, through you, Chair, the practice of automatic performance bonuses without there actually being any form of performance has always been unacceptable. And we welcome the fact that the department now also realizes this. It is, however, not good enough to be phased out. It must be stopped immediately. Die staat moet nie 'n primêre werksverskaffer wees nie, maar moet eerder werkskepping stimuleer en bevorder deur eerstens af te sien van verkeerde prioriteite en skeefgetrekte beleidsrigtings en tweedens die privaat sektor in staat te stel en bemagtig om werk te voorsien. Voorsitter, ek sluit af. Die VF+ wens die agbare minister sterkte toe met die reuse taak wat op sy skouers rus, especially with regards to instilling an ethical ethos and achieving a clean public service and administration by preventing, detecting and combating corruption. This will not be easy, as the continued investigation being conducted by the Zondo Commission has illustrated thus far. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Honorable House Chairperson, Minister for Public Service and Administration, Honorable Senzo Mchunu, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, in particular the Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration, our esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow South Africans. Our very own National Development Plan, Vision 2030 says, and I quote, "Government begins in the home, grows into the community, expands towards the city, flares towards the province, and engulfs the entire land," close quote. This statement holds true as we are a government that put people first so as to rectify the inequalities in the distribution of service, hence Batupili principles. It is a right of every South African citizen to be treated with respect, dignity, and to receive excellent service from every department and institutions of government. And I must hasten to say that there are many of public servants who deliver just that service. Honorable Minister Senzo Mchunu has just elaborated on achievements over the past 25
Hold
years.
on, please. Honorable members, you seated next to us at the gallery, you're not supposed to take photos. This is the parliament. You may proceed, honorable member.
The Honorable Minister Senzo Mchunu has just elaborated on achievements over the past 25 years, as well as outlined the priorities we will be implementing. And I will be reflecting on other entities that support the work of the department. And these are the Government Employees Housing Scheme, the National School of Government, Center for Public Service Innovation, and the Government Employees Medical Scheme. Honorable members, delivering the State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa stated that, and I quote, "While we have made great progress in providing housing, many South Africans still need land to build homes and earn livelihood. In the next 5 years, we will accelerate the provision of well-located housing and land to poor South Africans," close quote. The challenge of home ownership, which is faced by many South Africans, is a hardship that also faces many public servants who are still confronted with difficulties of owning homes of their own. In line with the Batupili principle of access, we are working together with organized labor through the housing scheme to address this ordeal. Measures that are being implemented includes, among others, the provision of housing allowance for the purpose of home ownership, with those renting accommodation being assisted to save towards home ownership, supporting, educating, and advising employees on housing options, and assisting employees to access affordable home loans and housing products. The 2015 agreement at the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council between government and organized labor established a housing scheme for approximately 1.3 million government employees. As at 30 June 2019, the Government Employees Housing Scheme has significantly increased the number of employees utilizing the housing allowance for home ownership. For instance, in 2015, there were 355,000 eligible public servants using the housing allowance for home ownership. In 2019, the number has increased to 653,099. The number of those renting has also been reduced from 596,000 in 2015 to 289,088 in 2019. This is an investment that calls for appreciation. Honorable House Chairperson, in 2018, a total amount of 4.5 billion rand was saved through the individual linked savings facility by public servants who are renting accommodation. This amount has grown to 7.2 billion rand as at 31 May 2019. The housing scheme will be looking into ways on how to utilize this financial muscle to bring more benefits to public servants. We are also reviewing our product offering. We have taken a stance that financial institutions that would like to partner with us in providing home loans should be prepared to offer affordable interest rates at prime minus against the strength of employees' payroll deductions. We know that this may be a tough call to those used to the status quo, but we will insist just for the benefit of our public servants. We will also explore solutions that address public servants' indebtedness, which is currently a major hindrance towards home ownership. We will continue with outreach campaigns to popularize the scheme to employees. A training manual is currently being developed and will be finalized in this financial year. The aim of the manual is to educate human resource units in government departments that are charged with the responsibility of assisting employees to access housing services as well as benefits. Honorable House Chairperson, one of the 7 priorities of the 6th administration is to focus on education, skills, and health. The future requires a state that is capable of playing a developmental and transformative role with skilled public servants who, in line with Batupili principle of information, are knowledgeable about the services they have to deliver to our citizens. And this is also the core mandate of the National School of Government. The school will be rolling out training and development opportunities through a suite of 129 courses and programs targeting all salary levels in the public service. For the 2019-2020 financial year, the school will target to train a total of 53,283 learners in the 4 broad training streams of leadership, management, administration, and induction. And we are positive to achieve this target. Furthermore, in the 2019-20 financial year, the school plans to train 3,000 unemployed graduates and interns through the Breaking Barriers to Entry into the Public Service program. This program is being revamped to support the former graduate recruitment scheme in the public service. Honorable members, to ensure the capacitation of senior management services, that is SMS, the school introduced a compulsory induction program called the Executive Induction Program to all newly appointed Deputy Directors General and Directors General. The program includes coaching by qualified and professional coaches and mentoring by experts. This Executive Induction Program is critical in the current dispensation of macro-national organizing of government. For 2019-20, the budget allocation for the school is 189 million rands. Included in the allocation for this year is an amount of 10 million rand ring-fenced for the rollout of the mandatory courses. The school has also projected to generate revenue to the amount of 143 million rand to augment the trading account. The school will continue to collaborate and foster partnerships with both public and private sector training institutions, domestically and internationally. In 2019-20, we will be looking into the overall functioning of the school in order to align its mandate and product offerings to the 6 administration priorities. Ladies and gentlemen, the Center for Public Service and Innovation is uniquely positioned to spearhead innovation across the public service in order to promote the Batupili principle of value for money. An innovative and 4th industrial revolution-ready public service recognizes its trailblazers. Those young public servants who use their coding and data analytics skills to develop in-house solutions instead of producing off-the-shelf solutions that barely works. Some of these young people, young coders, are here today attending this budget vote. Following the very successful first public sector hackathon, Ignite Hack, hosted by the Ministry for Public Service and Administration in 2018, the center has identified 3 potential solutions developed by teams of young coders. These include, just to mention one of the 3 solutions, Vula Manzi, a point-of-use water filtering solution using low-cost cutting-edge materials to filter water. And this has been successfully replicated in Limpopo province. Solutions such as Vula Manzi are critical to safeguard our people against waterborne diseases where potable water is not yet available. We will further engage the National Treasury to mainstream such innovations in all spheres of government. A 4th industrial revolution-ready public service requires funding mechanisms that would enable us to develop new solutions, many still in conceptual stages, to address some of our most persistent challenges. Going forward as the ministry, we will be looking at means and ways of harnessing the focus, research, and development of the Center for Public Service Innovation. In partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, the center is strengthening government's foresight capacity by working closely with a number of government departments to plan for resilience, adaptability, and agility. The center has been allocated a budget of 38,437,000 rands for the 2019-20 financial year. House Chairperson, in carrying these legislative responsibilities in terms of the health and wellness of employees in the public service, as well as the Batupili value statement of we belong, we care, we serve, government established a government employees medical aid scheme known as GEMS. The scheme emphasizes prevention, screening, and testing initiatives and as an integral part of primary health care. GEMS, in which had 705,192 principal members registered as at 31 December 2018, covers over 1.839 million beneficiaries. This makes the scheme the second largest medical scheme in the country and the largest restricted medical scheme. To sustain affordability of GEMS, the board approved an average wage GEMS contribution increase of 7.09% for 2019. This was one of the lowest in the medical schemes industry for the year. In addition, additional benefits for 2019 valued at 832 million rand were given back to members in the form of more benefits, concentrating mainly on vulnerable groups mentioned in the National Health Insurance White Paper. Furthermore, a new program called the Service Management Program was introduced in 2018 to improve member experience and satisfaction. The program is made up of 11 initiatives, including complaint management and initiatives to improve access to healthcare cover by members. To this effect, GEMS has established 7 client liaison officers in the 7 provinces, employing 155 young and previously unemployed graduates. In 2019, GEMS will establish 2 more CLOs or offices in the Western Cape here and in the Northern Cape. The scheme reported a surplus of 4.02 billion rand for the 2018 financial year and increased its reserve ratio from 15.2% to 24.7%. The accumulated funds increased from 5.4 billion in 2017 to 9.4 billion in 2018. It is expected that the reserve ratio will reach the required level of 25% by the end of 2019. The scheme's non-healthcare cost decreased from 5.6% to 4.9%, which remains the lowest in the industry. We congratulate GEMS for receiving unqualified audit from the Auditor General since its inception in 2005 to date. Under the leadership, Honorable Chairperson, under the leadership of President Ramaphosa, we will work together as a nation as we seek the solutions to the challenges facing our country. We will do so in order to keep the legacy of former President Nelson Mandela alive by ensuring that we build a nation where everyone will cherish being part of this country. House Chairperson and honorable members, it is our vision as a ministry that the service needs of our people shall be our first consideration. And it is upon this vision led by the Honorable Minister Senzo Mchunu and supported by the Director General Professor Levin, the staff of the DPSA, and the Ministry of Public Service and Administration entities that we will endeavor to build an ideal and developmental state that will provide services to our people as enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic and the principles of Batupilo, putting people first with a commitment ethos that says, Tumamina, to deliver services for our people in a professional, ethical, and optimal Kauleza mandate. Chairperson, to this we are committed, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Honorable Stebisi.
House Chairperson, Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister, honorable members of the House, the National Freedom Party welcomes the budget report on the public service and administration here today. The National School of Government is a very important expert to this department. The need to train and transfer the necessary skills to public servants to best serve the public is vital in achieving the objectives set out by the Public Service Act, particularly the need to uphold integrity, ethics, conduct, and anti-corruption, as well as transformation, reform, innovation, and any other matter to improve the effectiveness of efficiency of the public service and its service delivery to the public. However, the department must get these training courses accredited.
and training courses must indeed respond to the fourth industrial revolution. Not only with its increased productivity, but empower those within the sector to become more innovative to serving the needs of the public. If the department sticks to the following strategic priorities set out in the report, the department can meet all objectives: a stable political administrative interface, a public service that is career of choice, efficient, effective management and operation system, increased responsiveness, improved mechanisms to promote ethical behavior in the public. Siphinde sinxuse Macingwana njengoba ukuye wakhuluma uthinta umnyango wezasekhaya. Usizi olubhekene nabantu basemakhaya likhulu ngalomnyango. Emnambithi abantu bafika ngo-12 ebusuku bezongena ngakusasa belala emabhentshini. Sekukhona abafike bathi abarente bakubambela ulayini ebusuku uzongena ngakusasa urent ulayini ngo-400. Ukuhlukumeza abantu. Siyofisa mhlonishwa uMacingwane ukuba ubalekelele abantu kuphele lokho kwenzeka emnyangweni wezasekhaya. Honorable Chair, we seek to improve the working environment of public servants and create a culture of development within our public spaces. We need to make sure that workers are well equipped, enthusiastic about their work, and have the passion to deliver adequate services to the people. Ethical leadership and ethical behavior is the culture that we must adopt in all departments, but most importantly, this Department of Public Service. The services delivered must be done in an ethical manner that will create a healthy working system. Therefore, the NFP welcomes the budget table here today. Thank you.
I thank you, Honorable Chair of the House, the Minister, Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, the Chairperson of the committee, all Director Generals that are with us here, fellow South Africans. Molweni. We as the ANC support this budget vote. Yebo. The African National Congress has made a conscious decision that South Africa must become a capable and developmental state. The National Development Plan gives specific attention to the capabilities of such a developmental state. The NDP suggests that the role of the Public Service Commission be strengthened in order for the PSC to be able to champion the norms and standards as well as monitoring recruitment processes. The PSC addresses some of the key issues highlighted in the NDP on strengthening its advisory and oversight role, which includes promoting the values and principles of the public service. The PSC, as a constitutional institution, needs to be capacitated financially and with technical experts. If the country is committed to building in building a capable and professional public service. Through this oversight report, the PSC has continued to advise the government as well as Parliament on areas of progress and areas that undermine the ability of the state to deliver. The PSC has ensured that there is improvement in timely submission of disclosure forms by senior managers with regard to the financial disclosure framework. However, as the ANC, we can only accept 100% compliance rate with the financial disclosure framework. The Commission should speed up the analysis of information to detect if there are conflicts of interest before it is too late. E-disclosure system should serve as a preferred option in disclosing, which is faster and better. We commend the Department of Public Service and Admin for the new regulations in the Public Service Regulations of 2016 on prohibition of public servants from doing business with the state. This is a measure introduced by the ANC-led government to tackle conflict of interest and corruption. However, the PSC needs to monitor this provision together with the financial disclosure framework forms. In promoting sound labor relations in the public service, in 2017-18, the PSC concluded 87% of grievance cases, of which 560 cases were for public servants from levels 2 to 12, and 81% of those cases were concluded within 30 working days upon receipt of relevant information. 55 cases were for levels 13 and above, of which 93% concluded within 45 working days of receipt of relevant information. In executing its constitutional mandate of promoting professional ethics during the period under review.
Point of order, Sihlalo.
Angikasho ngithi ukhulume honorable ungakhuluma manje.
Ngiyabonga Sihlalo. Ayi wena ngikuthanda izolo nje ugqoka ingubo ezibovu. Kuvumelekile lana ngaphakathi ukuthi umuntu angaphuza amanzi aphathe something like itiye, isiZulu, into enjalo nje. Kona umhlonishwa la ophethe into manje angazi ngempela kwenzakalani. Uyifihlile kanjani?
Honorable Khawula, awuthatha isihlalo sakho.
Yeah.
Continue, honorable member.
The PSC conducted investigations aimed at improving public administration practices and good governance. In this regard, a total of 303 out of 360 investigations were finalized, of which 210 of 303 were finalized within their respective time frames, which ranges from 45 days to 3 months. In relation to cases lodged through early resolution, the PSC received 27 cases, of which 85% of the cases were finalized. We commend the PSC for doing a sterling job for closing cases within reasonable time. We welcome various strategic research projects and initiatives undertaken by the PSC, spanning from the assessment of the impact of organizational restructuring, audit of qualifications of SMS members in selected provinces, monitoring of career incidents of head of departments, to conduct investigation of procedure on incapacity leave and ill health retirement applications processes in identified provinces. Senior managers got appointed in the public service without being subjected to competency assessment. This clearly indicates the need for continued monitoring, assessment, and advice in many of these areas if we are serious about building a capable and professionalizing public services. It was a resolution of the ANC's 54th National Conference that I have to quote from it. The merit principle must apply in the deployment of senior appointments based on legislated, prescribed, and in line with the minimum competency standards. I close quote. The ANC-led government is concerned that public servants are getting recruited and employed wrongfully. They are not getting employed based on merit. We call on the PSC to identify addressing wrong appointments as a result of poor recruitment systems in public service. We commend the Commission for progress made in respect of the presentation and combating of corruption in the public service. A total of 1,856 national anti-corruption hotline cases that were lodged with the PSC were referred to relevant national or provincial departments. The PSC has observed an increase in the public interest to use NACH as a reliable mechanism to report alleged corruption cases. With regard to NACH cases lodged telephonically, 1,374 NACH cases were referred to national and provincial departments or public entities, and 1,125 cases registered on the database were closed. National School of Government. The NSG has been responsive to the development of the youth for public service employment through the Breaking Barriers to Entry program. The school trained a total of 3,163 youth graduates in 2017-18 financial year. Access to employ opportunities is limited and competition for these posts is high. Therefore, it is a challenge. However, the training places learners at an advantage for employment opportunities. The school continues in the development of our public service leaders, such as the introduction of the executive induction program for new entrants at Deputy Director General and Director General levels. And this concludes coaching by qualified and professional NSG coaches and mentoring by former heads of department. We call on the school to make sure that the program continue to gain momentum across all salary levels in the public service. Through the use of technology, NSG can offer compulsory induction programs, training to officials in 13 remote training sites within the Free State province. The NSG needs to expand its training within budgetary constraints to other remote rural provinces. Center for Public Service Innovation. South African citizens, as most other global citizens, are looking towards dynamic, creative, and innovative solutions to their challenges. As the ANC-led government, we need to respond accordingly and to be a vibrant government. This is why we have a vibrant organization such as the Center for Public Service Innovation that is rising to the challenge. Through the Public Sector Innovation Awards, innovative ways are inspired and developed in continuing to provide innovative solutions to help improve the way in which services are delivered to our people. We welcome plans by the Center to facilitate and support the replications for 2 CPSI award winnings. We urge Center to consistently assist service delivery-oriented departments in designing innovative systems that ensure efficient, effective, and rapid service delivery. Queue management in various departments, such as Home Affairs and Health, are a major concern, hindering efficiency and impact on average time spent by clients before receiving service. Thina ke singumbutho we-ANC sizawuhlala ngamaxesha onke sizimisele ukukhonza
Honorable member.
abantu baseMzantsi Afrika
Honorable member,
sitshintshe ubomi
your time
babo.
is up. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Clerk. Honorable Clerk.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The core mandate of the Department of Public Service and Administration is to implement and coordinate interventions aimed at achieving and listen nicely. Efficient, effective, and development-orientated public service. As enshrined in the Constitution of South Africa, Section 191, and the Public Service Act of 1994. The department aims to ensure that well-skilled public servants are employed in government departments so that the state can deliver high-quality services to its citizens. How successful has government been in achieving the DPSA's core mandate? We cannot be doing business as usual in the constrained environment we find our lives in as a result of what the President described as the lost decade. No new dawn can be achieved if government is not prepared to take bold steps in change management and rooting out corruption within the public service. The DPSA can only be successful in achieving its mandate if it fosters a politically independent, delivery-orientated civil service. Strategic roles in government have for far too long been a reward mechanism for those who support party as some sort of loyalty retainer. Too many government institutions in South Africa are enablers for the rot to continue and to go unchecked. This was the order of the day under the leadership of Zuma, and the new dawn under President Ramaphosa has not yielded results, with many of these deployees still employed in the civil service. Honourable Minister, not just in the SONA speech of the President, but also highlighted on the 12th of January during the President's speech at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, the President said he is committed to running a public service that is free from corruption and responsive to the needs of South African citizens. Honourable Minister, this action speaks far louder than words. We need to see jail time for those public servants whom are found guilty of corruption. Public government is a high risk in South Africa, and during the last decade was a major site of capture. As a result, corruption and bribery thrives at central government levels. Political patronage allows officials to engage in corrupt behavior with impunity. No consequences are meted out due to low levels of law enforcement. Under the DA government, we would ensure that any public servant found guilty of corruption receives a minimum jail sentence of 15 years. Where we govern, we foster an independent, professional civil service. Sadly, this is not the case where the ANC governs. Instead, the public service here has become a place to park senior party members who could not be deployed in political roles. Government must be able to achieve an efficient and effective public service based on principles fit for purpose. The state cannot be a fail-safe mechanism for party members who cannot be hired elsewhere. Healthcare is but one example that illustrates the key differences between a professional versus a deployed civil service. In the DA-run Western Cape, this has been very successful and effective. It is the only province to digitalize patient records in the public health sector. The digital records span over 54 hospitals, 300 primary healthcare facilities, more than 100 pharmacies, and 30 national health laboratories. The system currently hosts 13 million patients spanning over 25 years. This is no records are deleted or archived from the system, and this is a remarkable achievement. Sadly, this has not been achieved in the rest of the country. The Gauteng province digital health system has not been completed. The system does not link up with various sectors, and the consequences thereof is many patients' information and files are missing or cannot be found on the system. This causes huge frustration when patients visit hospitals within Gauteng. This can generally be said in terms of nurses being trained to work within an efficient, effective healthcare system. The Nurses' Council is in disarray. not being able to create accredited guidelines in order to ensure that nurses are fit for purpose in the public health care. Chairperson, this is just a tip of the iceberg in terms of government inefficiency, and many more examples can be presented. Let's take bold steps
Thank you,
to reform
Honourable
the
Member.
public service sector and action such.
Thank you,
Africa cannot
Honourable
afford
Member.
one more minute lost. We cannot be here
Honourable
next year during the
Member,
budget
thank you
period
very much.
and real reform
Thank
and
you very much.
transgression has been made. I thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Maneli.
Honorable House Chair, Minister and Deputy Minister, Commissioner of the PSC, the administrative representatives here, the National School of Governance, Director General from the Center for Public Service, the Portfolio Chair, and your Portfolio Committee members, honorable members of the House. For fear of confusion about what our vision is, the Freedom Charter is adopted on the 26th of June 1955 in Kliptown. In its preamble, it makes it quite clear that our forebearers have visualized a country where a government is elected on the basis of the will of the people, and that no government would claim legitimacy unless it would have been based on the will of the people as a whole. And that we made this claim that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, at that time. And I want to state that we did not only stop there. Section 195 of the Constitution, as it relates to public service, it goes further to indicate that we would have a public service that is representative of the demographics of this country, that is ethical, that is professional. This is what we said is the vision. Indeed, the President, in his State of the Nation address, took it further to point out that we have areas of focus, and those areas of focus will include building up a capable state that is ethical and competent. And this will, in a way, ensure that the experience of a citizen at each and every point of service should leave there with a fulfilling moment from a service delivery point. And I want to make this point because there's confusion about 1990 versus a new vision of the DA. Unfortunately, in the Western Cape, this vision does not exist because the people of Khayelitsha, the people of Gugulethu are still refugees in their own country when the white privilege is still presented as the case. And I want to indicate that, in essence, the ANC knows a lot has to be done to meet the needs of our people. And it is against this background that we have put up the National Development Plan. And this National Development Plan talks to the capability of the state that resolve complex problems that we have. And I want to state that it is unfortunate that when you took over Tshwane and Johannesburg, you've moved them from being municipalities of excellence as confirmed by the Auditor General.
Honourable members,
because we respect the Auditor General as independent. It has confirmed that Johannesburg and Tshwane, with Tshwane being number one, has now joined those that have got unauthorized expenditure at highest level. Allow me to indicate that furthermore,
honourable members,
the NDP highlights the need to run
Honorable
this
member,
state
can you
effectively.
please take your seat?
And I want to state
Honorable member,
that for those that
Honorable
believe
Maneli,
that this has been about cadre development,
Honorable Maneli, could you please take, could you please take your seat, sir?
those seats,
There
So
is
I'll
no-
squat.
Okay, okay, just a minute. No, you keep on standing. There's a question. What are you rising on, honorable member?
Chair, I want to know if the honourable member is prepared to take a question.
no.
He is not prepared. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, please take into consideration your proximity to the speaker. You are too close on both sides. You are too close to the speaker, and you are disturbing him. No. You are disturbing him. Fact of the matter is, he is on the podium. Could you please respect that? Shayelani phansi bahlonishwa. Qhubeka baba.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As I continue, we do indeed recognize that the unevenness in the capacity has led to uneven performance in the public service, as admitted by our Minister and Deputy Minister. But that we are doing something about it, we are changing the situation. Of course, we get accused that this would have happened because of party patronage and cadre development. I want to remind you that in all the municipalities where you have taken over, you fired competent staff because you thought they were linked to the party. And today, the Auditor General reports are proving that you've taken those that are competent in order to reimburse the rent account from the townships that do not support you ideologically, but because they must be rented to do so. Allow me to indicate, Honorable Chair, that indeed, as we deal with the public service as a career of choice, to support the minister and his team, that indeed we have to ensure that we have competent public service, we make public service an interesting and an employer of choice. But allow me to indicate that, Minister, unlike elsewhere, others do analyze the problem like all other philosophers would have done without changing the world. They told us about the problems of a girl, but they have not voted for a budget today. And I want to say that we support a budget because we know that this budget will ensure that the graduate recruitment scheme framework and the internships will continue to happen, giving an opportunity to young people and experiential learning that others are still having certificates in institutions of learning because they don't have this opportunity, that even the proxies of capital on my left have never given them this opportunity. And therefore the state remains the only chance that they have to entry into jobs. Allow me to indicate this point once again.
Point of order, Slab.
What is
Allow
your
me to
point of
indicate
order,
this
ma'am?
point again.
Bob Maneli.
That
Honorable
indeed,
Maneli. Honorable Maneli, there's a point of order. Why are you rising, honorable member?
Ngiyabonga mhlonishwa. Bengithi mina akathi kuhlala phela kancane phansi.
What is your point of order?
Akahlale phansi phela ngikhuluma. Okay. Oh, isihlalo asikho ngiyaxolisa ke ungaguqa kodwa ngamadola. No, bengithi lapho sihlalo umhlonishwa nje obekhuluma lapho. Akazame phela acabanga ukuthi lana akehlisa kancane izwi ngoba sekubhlungu amadlebe lana umsindazwana.
That is not a point of order.
Namakhosi lana ngaphakathi.
That is not a point of order. Continue, honorable member.
Can I proceed? Okay. No, thanks, thanks, Chair. At least it's an indication that she has heard. As I proceed, Honorable Chair, indeed, the part of corruption, we are also very thankful that the Minister has addressed this point long before and indicated about the actions they are going to take. Allow me to also indeed welcome the point that the Zondo Commission begins to deal with all these matters that relates to the state capture. I understand the eagerness from the DA side to write to the Commission on other matters. May I also invite you to write to the Zondo Commission that all the matters that are in the media, a councillor of the DA in the West Rand, Blake's Travel owner, is cited in the Busasa saga. The DA at this point in time has never done anything to that councillor. Instead, rewarded as an alderman of the DA. So if you can also write about this so that we know that you are a prisoner of your own conviction as it relates to fighting corruption. Because it is Blake's Travel, we may also have to check whether they have not helped you financially as they benefited from this program. In that score, allow me, Honorable Chair, to continue with my speech to say that indeed the part of responsiveness, we are very happy that the School of Governance and the Center for Public Service and Innovation are doing everything possible to ensure that we change the situation in terms of using technology and all that. But I must say, though, that when you stand and do not support this budget, I want to state that the little girl who has been identified to have all problems in every level of service has been failed dismally and probably will think differently in terms of the vote going forward, whether you can be relied upon at this point in time. Like the people of Tshwane have been dumped without telling them that you leave at any time, and yet they still expect those services that you wanted to give it to them. May I also say that, at least as I was coming, I was motivated because the ANC recognizes talent of South Africans. There's a South African, esteemed South African. I listened to his music as I was coming here, very motivated. Of course, that musician would be not other than Ringo. I liked him in that love. And he makes the point, and I like this song, Shed the Tears and Grow. He makes the point that these things will not just happen. He even quotes Biko, that God is not in the habit of coming down to resolve our problems. In fact, it goes further to say, we must teach the children not to take freedom for granted. It is taking freedom for granted, not to vote for a budget, because a budget is a financial expression of priorities and progress. So in that score, I hope that in that score, allow me to indicate.
Honorable Manele, I know that you are in top flight.
No.
There's a point of order called. Honorable Member, what is your point of order?
Ngicela bafethu kungadlalwa la. Asinaye uRingo la thina sino honorable Ringo. Ukuthi wena uyandamani njani uvotela abantu la eParliament njobe la. Uyazwa?
Honorable Member.
Funeka ukwazi lokho. Ungachallenge into engeke ujabulela mase sibhekisa kuwena.
Honorable Member, that is not a point of order.
Order, Chair.
Honorable Manele.
A point of order, Chair.
Order.
Honorable members, order. Order, please. Honorable member, why are you rising?
I'm rising on a point of order, Chair. The honorable member on the podium must not patronize our benches. He must not quote one of us and then quote that we are not supporting the budget. We are not supporting the ANC budget because of corruption which is happening within the public service. That's the main reason we are not supporting that budget. So don't patronize us. Stick to your debate, stick to your sweeping. Otherwise, we'll attend to you.
Honorable members. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, stop shouting at each other.
Chair.
Honorable members, stop shouting at each other. Can I make a ruling on that? Honorable Makaus, that is not a point of order. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Perhaps for the sake of progress and since our members dealing with the issues here at hand, perhaps he should just withdraw the issue about Ringo because he's dealing very, very well with the issues here.
I have already made a ruling on that.
Yeah, but just to say, we all love Ringo. We listen to Ringo's music. We love Ringo. I listen to Ringo. I love your music. But just call him honorable member for the sake of the House.
Honorable member. I have made honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Bahlonishwa. I have already made a ruling on that. The ruling was that there's nothing wrong in that.
Yes.
Honorable member, can you continue?
Can I go?
Continue.
No, thanks, Provincial Chair. Thanks, Provincial Chair. Of course, an increasing responsiveness of public servants and accountability
Point
to
of
citizens.
order.
There's a point of order. I can just hold, honorable member. Honorable member, what is your point of order?
Chair, my point of order is that we are not supposed to call each other by names here. And if you allow that, we should call each other by names. We are going to do that. There's only one Ringo here. And that Ringo is honorable because he's a member of parliament. This honorable member cannot come here and say Ringo and then you say he was talking about somebody outside. Otherwise, we are going to make it not possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members. Honorable members, I made a ruling on that. And if honorable members have got a problem with that, there are processes to follow so that we resolve the matter as soon as possible. There are processes that you can follow to address that. But for now, a ruling has been made. Thank you very much. Can we then allow a member to continue?
No. Point of order, Stalo. Honorable Ntombela, siyakuhlonipha. You can't do what you want to do now to us. We are honorable here. Asikhulumi now. Bamhlonishwa mana wait. Lalela wemhlonishwa Ntombela. Abantu mangilalela even nje sorry ingilalela ngisho isibongo sakho. Sikhombisa ukuthi umnomzana. Uyabona njengoba umnomzana ufuna kuhlonishwe. Ukuze uhlonishwe fanele nawe uyenza sure ukuthi musibakho khona umuntu ombukela phansi. Akaxolise lento ayisho ukuthi angambize honorable lo. Ningadlali ngathi la. We are not coming to play here.
Stonishwa,
Yes, angasho njalo athi honorable Madlingozi.
honorable member,
Angavela mbiza. Ngicela nithule. Wena sokhipha itiye lelo ngaphansi lapho kwena. Lizokushisa itiye ngiyakutshela. Phuza itiye lana kwi-house.
honorable
Ngoba
member,
ubona lo sihlalo lovuma yonke into.
honorable member. I do understand what you are saying, but in the midst of you saying that, you should also observe the rules of the House. If you are aggrieved with the decision that I have taken, I am saying there are processes that need to be followed. And all members here, it's a fact that we are expected to respect the manner in which we're calling each other, the manner in which we refer to each other. We should all do that. And if you are aggrieved with the decision that I've taken, Honorable Makausi, please follow the correct processes.
Chair.
And Honorable Manele, if it happens that you refer to the name of a person, please respectfully do so. Thank you. Can continue.
But I never referred to a name.
Chair, whilst you are busy,
Honorable-
whilst you are busy addressing the issue, the member from the DA there points to our member here and say, let the VBS continue. There's no VBS here. There's an honourable member.
Honorable member, that is. Well,
Can I continue?
Honorable member, that happened while, please note that that happened while I was addressing this member. So I did not see that. Can I check with the member whether it is true?
What do you mean?
Kancane,
Kon ukuthi
kancane,
siqamba
ikhuluma-
manga thina.
Hayi wena mama. Hayi wena. Can I check with the member?
Chair,
Honorable?
Chair, what is the question? Are you asking me a question, Chair?
Yes, did you talk about the VBS? Did you point a finger to them?
In the time-honored tradition of heckling, sir, I did say VBS. VBS is particularly pertinent in this debate because the honourable member here is talking about responsible and clean service, and VBS was a blot on a particular municipality that he was in charge of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kicharia. In the list that I have here, Honorable Member, let me finish first, Honorable Shabaku.
Thank you, sir.
In the list that I have here, Honorable Member Kachalia, I have Honorable Member PM Maneli. I do not have Honorable Member VBS. What you did was that you pointed a finger at him and called him VBS, and that is unparliamentary. No name to impugn the dignity of any member should be allowed in the House.
Sir, if you'll allow me, I did not impugn the
did not
dignity. May I explain?
I did not allow you, and
Sir?
I would not allow. I would not allow a dialogue between us. I did not allow you, Mr. Kashalia.
Can I go?
I would humbly request you to withdraw.
House Chair, point of order.
Sir, Chair, I respectfully submit to you that what I said was in no way unparliamentary. What I said in reference to VBS is a plain fact that is in the public domain, and I raise it in these hallowed
Chair.
portals. Thank you.
Chair, on a point of order.
And I did not mention his name, sir.
Chair. Chair, on a point of order, Chair.
Honorable members, I am quoting Rule 82. No name should impugn the dignity of any member. If you make an allegation of that nature, Honorable Kacharia, you should do that by way of a substantive motion in a separate process from this one. Otherwise, I would humbly request you to withdraw what you have said.
Chair, as I did not mention the honourable member's name, I merely referred to VBS, which I said is pertinent in this discussion. I am not prepared to withdraw.
Chair. House Chair.
Then I'm
House
also
Chair.
making you aware, Honorable Kachalia, that by pointing a finger to him was a gesture that is not acceptable. I will again request you to withdraw.
House.
Honorable Member, I did not recognize you. I'm addressing Honorable Kachalia.
But I'm rising on a point of order, Chair.
I am still addressing him. I will come to you.
Okay.
I am still addressing him.
A gesture which says, let VBS continue, refers,
It's not VBS.
Honourable
That's the
Chair,
point.
refers
VBS.
to the, refers in context to the content of the discussion which we were having here and the debate we are engaging in. I did
Honourable-
not refer, I repeat, I did not refer to the member by name, nor did I point to him and say that he was VBS. I referred to VBS because it is pertinent and his activities in that regard are complicit. That's all I've said, sir, and I stand by that. Thank you.
Honorable Kacharia, I am requesting you to withdraw what you have said about the member, and if you do not find it possible, I would humbly request you to leave the House.
The substantive motion.
House Chair. House Chair.
Pardon?
But
Yeah?
House Chair, you are being unfair to our member here.
Malatsi, I respectfully ask you to sit down. I'm busy with the rulings.
But you are on the wrong path, Chair. You are on the wrong path.
I will give you a chance.
When my member is out
When
of the
I'm
house.
through, when I'm through with this ruling, I will give you a chance, Honorable Malatsi. Honorable Member Kasalia, I have made a humble plea to you. Please leave the House so that we can continue.
Chair, we may continue in my presence because I've done nothing wrong.
Honorable Kachalia, I have repeatedly requested you to leave the House. You will leave me with no option. Thank you very much.
Bring the substantive motion. So consult to play. Also consult to play.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Shall we continue, Honorable Manele?
The GCRF and developmental programs are responses to the plight of the unemployed graduates and youth within the public and private sectors. Graduates
Hello?
and youth are already struggling in entering
Point
the
of
labor
order.
market.
Honorable Manele, there's a point of order.
Bengithi mhlonishwa lapho ubumtshelile ukuthi akaxolise ukuthi akambizanga ngo-honorable. Kuyimanje ngoba laba bamhlophe benze ibona nithi bona abaxolise ibona nithi babelesela lo wenu ANC nanifuni yena awithdraw. No, musani phela amadoda akithi kwenza lento kuba mawudlala ibhola lapho nibheka ukuthi liphi iqembu hambisana nalo. And kwesibili khona into ofuna mawuyenzeke. Mawuzoba uchairperson lapho ngicabanga ukuthi ufana kube ne-training ukuthi yini umsebenzi wakho. Hayi uvela ufike la uzobheka abantu. Akaxolise kuze sidlule. Losifikile noMandlingozi Honorable Mandlingozi nina nimthatha kancane la eParliament. Uvotela umbona nje une constituency umbona lana. Musani umthatha nomi kanjani. Ngicela nje sihlale yenza ubulungiswa. Umhlonishwa lapho ushilo wathi into elula nje athi uyaxolisa akazi ukungcola angazi nimthembeni lo muntu wenu.
Honorable member, bese ngishilo ekuqaleni. Bese ngishilo ukuthi nangabe isinqumo engisithathayo la asikugculisi. Kukhona imigomo kufanele ukuthi uyilandele njengelunga. Nangabe ubona iphutha kulento engiyikhulumile lapha. Kunendlela nezinto nendlela ofanele ukuthi uyilandele ukuze kulungise lento. Kodwa okwamanje isinqumo ukuthi akaqhubeke. Nangabe khona iphutha elizawutholakala lapho sizawubuya sithi ngelanga elithize kwathathwa isinqumo esinje. Nangabe besingalunganga uzawusho ukuthi no bekungesona ngakho ke siyahoxisa kuloko kuqhutshekwe nomsebenzi. Okwamanje isinqumo sithathiwe.
Point of order.
Why are you rising, honorable member?
Ntate Ntombela. Bata o bua le wena ka setho. Wa dumela hore honorable member o entse phoso. O batla ho mo buella a tswele pele. It's wrong. Unacceptable. O tshwantse a re I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong. A ke ba tswa madi a ka re I'm sorry. Re tswele pele. Otherwise, re tlo ruta batho bana ba fitlang di members honorable members tse fitlang hore di act as ka tje. A rule is a rule. It can't be changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It is in that context, honorable member, I made a ruling. And once I have made a ruling, it's a ruling that is binding according to the rules that you have made. You made those rules. You agreed to those rules. You must conform to those rules that we have agreed to as a house and different parties. If you are not happy with the decisions that I have taken, you have all the right to take it to the Rules Committee. There's absolutely nothing being that I'm
Point of
afraid
order Slalo. Sengifuna ukukuhlonipha umnomzana uNtombela ngiyakuhlonipha. But into yenzayo angazi noma mhlawumbe wena ubusekugcineni kwilist eza la eParliament. Lo honorable wakuthatha wazokufaka la eParliament wafika kunominate ukuthi ubusihlalo manje usaba nje into elula nje ungena manje na uregistiwe ufana nathi sonke akazi awuziqoshwa kodwa ngikuhlonipha nje Ntombela yini into yenzayo chairperson musu kuba bias.
Honorable member, I would humbly request you to refrain from doing what we are doing. It cannot be right. I humbly request you, ngiyacela kuwena Makaula. Can you hold it there, honorable member? I humbly request you, honorable members, to allow this process to continue and make the necessary representations to the wrong decision if you think my decision was wrong.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ntombela. From now, uzoba untombela, ngizozama kungena la ku-Google ngithole igama lakho ngizokubiza ngegama lakho. Busungitshela ukuthi uzothini ngoba la nifika nisinike imithetho. Sithe sesiyayilandela le mithetho senishintshile. Ngani nina lento ethi kunabantu abangcono kunabanye abantu lana. And okokuqala fanele uwazi ukuthi umnomzana naye uRingo unonkosikazi unengane unesithunzi. Ofanele nimhloniphe ngaso. And unewadi nje umbona ningamthathi kancane ukuthi nimaze umculo. Wonke umuntu unalokho yanalokho awulazi kusasa lomuntu. Mhlawumbe nje ubuhleli lapha kusasa uzobe ungasasileli kuloso sihlalo. Musa ukuzenza sathi uNkulunkulu nikufuna ukuthi kube khona abantu abangahlonishwa. Yabo. Ngicela ukuvumela kamanje sonibiza ngamagama. Thank you very much.
Honorable Makaula. Honorable members, can I also draw your attention to the fact that when you make a point of order, make your point of order and substantiate your point of order. Do not make a speech. I humbly request you to observe your own rules. And secondly, honorable members, be careful of your interjections. Your interjections should not disturb the House. Can you continue, Honorable Maneli?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Maybe to assist the meeting to proceed. Indeed, I had not referred
Honorable
to the
member,
honorable
don't touch
member.
on that issue. Go on with your speech.
But if that is offensive, I have accepted, Chair, in order to proceed. As I said, Chair, the GCRF and developmental programs are responses to the plight of the unemployed graduates and youth within the public and private sectors. Graduates and the youth are already struggling in entering the labor market, and therefore, as I said, should not find it harder to start a career in public service. Hence this program of GRSF and other internship programs. As I said, this is also especially to assist young people who must also get experiential training. This process will add value by minimizing the already overburdened paperwork administration and service offering by introducing technology-savvy youth, therefore coordinating and aligning any fragmented reporting and communication in dealing with poor service delivery. I want to highlight, Honorable House Chair, that indeed as we support this budget, we are confident that, as it has already been shown by the National School of Governance, having trained facilitators, 52 of them, in a rollout, who rolled out a program to 2,808 unemployed youth, that this budget will help us to take it to another level of 5,000 rural youth in the next 2 years. And we think that is what the ANC is doing and not what it says it would do and not do. The National School of Governance has also signed a memorandum of understanding, as already stated, with the South African Local Government Association in August 2016. In our view, this provides an opportunity for us to look at indeed realizing a single public service which would ensure that the mobility within the state is finally realized. In that score, we'll be able to share skills from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom in terms of that upward and downward mobility. Honorable Chair, indeed we need skilled and committed human capital to arrive at this vision. Some are professionals and some are not. However, the goal is common: to provide service that is impartial, equitable, and without bias, irrespective of religion, color, and creed. Indeed, you would have seen in Johannesburg, after the 2016 local government elections, that Soweto is not the shining example we've had before the 2016 elections, because umshado ungenile, waqhawuka, waphinda, waqala, uyancoma namhlanje when our people are suffering. We therefore call for government institutions to reinforce and collaborate widely and across sectors to collectively engage in innovation, share and exchange knowledge and experiences to make a difference in the lives of our people. The use of online learning encourages self-placed learning. The piloted and implemented open online courses by the National School of Governance has showed much success, resulting in an intake of more than 25,000 learners accessing learning opportunities through this platform. Indeed, as the ANC, we believe that innovation serves as a catalyst in ensuring effective state machinery. Allow me, Honorable Chair, to indicate that whilst there may be a situation where others look at us as though we are not looking at issues of competent people, it is the resolution of the ANC that we actually look at meritocracy, so that people are brought on the basis of merit and the competencies that they have. And I want to state that it is also opportunistic that you get to a portfolio committee, you are presented with a program that already says that the Public Service Commission is indeed working with the Department of DPME and the DPSA to ensure that a bill does come forward that looks at how heads of departments and DGs would be appointed. But to come here, plagiarize it as though it will be a member's bill that will be presented by the DA, and therefore it won't be an issue. Allow me, therefore, to indicate, Honorable Chair, that from where we are, all these initiatives will naturally need sustained funding, as already accepted by all of us, as costs will add up with the expression of interest and increase in targets. Furthermore, the success, Chair, would need us to build a social compact that will put all stakeholders, especially labor, on a mode of patriotism at all spheres of government. Those working relationships that the Minister has referred to, we think as the ANC, it's important that we ensure that they last, but not only at this level, but also at the local level, so that when we talk about this experience of a citizen in a public service point, we should be confident that even if we are in the Western Cape, if it's a single public service and there's only one government at a national level that seeks to address challenges faced by people, that indeed it will not take longer to get to townships when it is easy to get service on the other side of town. We are saying this because, as I outlined before, we have been told of a vision that the DA has and that the ANC still keeps to an old vision. For as long blacks in general, Africans in particular, still feel excluded in this space, we will continue to force integration of service so that our people can finally enjoy the fruits of our freedom. Honorable Chair, we are also in the Mandela Month. Indeed, public service is at the center of delivering service. in celebrating the 18th of July, which will also be done internationally. Indeed, it presents an opportunity not only for the political leadership, but for all servants in the public service to also contribute in their different ways to render service on the day, as it is never considered to be necessarily a public holiday, but a day to serve. Allow me to conclude by coming back to this point, that indeed we support, and I want to repeat, we support that there must be actions that get taken, and that is why we appreciate cases that get resolved within reasonable time whenever these are picked up. In the same vein, when there are allegations that get made, it is always important to allow investigations to take the course and allow those to finish so that we do not prejudge investigations. And I want to applaud the African National Congress that in the midst of an election, it would have not reverted back to blocking investigations, but allowed the investigations to go on. And we understood that allowing that had risks, but we took the risk because we do not put the party first. In our tradition, our policies and everything else, as Tambo would have said in the 48th conference, they've always been informed by people. Even at the time, we believed that we were correct, but if they did not resonate with the people, we would change them in order to resonate with the people. And when the people of the country cried about corruption, we said the commission will proceed irrespective of the elections. But we also knew that for us to get to the era of hope and renewal, it is when indeed we are prisoners of our own conviction, that we are dealing decisively with corruption whenever there's evidence that there is corruption. And I'm using this deliberately because it is very easy to smear the names of people and would not want to own up and put motions that can then be tested and evidence be presented. I submit, Chair, and thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. We're calling the Honourable, the Minister of Public Service and Administration to close the debate.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Just to close the debate, I first must acknowledge and appreciate all the participants and their contributions. Valuable indeed, and we appreciate. The second point is to assure the chair of the Portfolio Committee and the committee as a whole that we noted your report and the issues that you raised, and will be taking them further and taking them forward. And we'll work with you on all of them. And we think they are not as difficult issues of disciplinary cases, the ministerial handbook, acting appointments, and ensuring opportunities for young people in terms of jobs. The third point that we want to make is that reconfiguration, yes, we are pushing forward, and by December we're hoping that it will be, the whole process will be complete. But reconfiguration doesn't mean retrenchment in any way. It's not a tool to retrench. But where there may be difficulties of accommodating extra public servants, we will make an attempt to find mechanisms to deal with such situations if they arise. But reconfiguration shouldn't be confused with retrenchment. And the next point, yes, we did get different views on the cost of public administration. It's ongoing work, but we're committed to ensuring that the state doesn't sink as a result of the cost of public administration. The next point, I listened quite carefully when one of the members was talking here, and I took one point that I think is very important, that will make us leave, that says, in the public service, there are good people. There are good public servants. And I fully agree with that, not just in this house, but because out there it is borne out by facts. There are good public servants. And those public servants that are good are the ones that we need to protect, that we need to support, that we need to make sure that they consolidate their presence wherever they are. But wherever we come across those that are not good, whether they're in Swane or Johannesburg or wherever, or in Cape Town, we'll have to follow them and deal with them accordingly. The last point, we want to express our appreciation to all our guests who respected us, came here. We note that some of them have left, particularly the students, prospective employees of the Department of Public Service or just the public service as a whole. We hope that we shared with them where we needed to share with them. And I want to submit, Chair, that you had a difficult session, but thanks very much for everything. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, after a very careful consideration of the concerns that members have raised in regard to the issue of Honorable Ringo Madlingozi, we will go back and look at the context of the whole thing, even visit the Hansard, so that in the next plenary, a ruling is made. Thank you very much. The House is adjourned.